Good day, everyone, and thanks a lot for joining us for this edition of Newsmakers. I'm Carolyn Murray. During her tenure, Dr. Mary Thornley has doubled the size of Trident Technical College's main campus in North Charleston. She's also overseen the renovation of the Palmer campus in downtown Charleston. She's in our studio today and talking about taking technical college education to a higher level. Stick around. We are all local all the time. Thank you so much for staying with us. I'm already enjoying my conversation with our good friend, Dr. Mary Thornley, who's the president of Trident Technical College. You no doubt know her. She has been there and has risen through the ranks of the school and has really taken Trident Tech and the idea, at least for people in this area, Dr. Thornley, the idea of technical education, a technical college education, to a much higher level. And people we now know are really knocking at your door to get into that school. Did you envision a Trident Tech in which there would be waiting lists to get into your school?
Well, think back. I came to Trident Tech 40 years ago, probably before you were born.
Wow, you're being very kind, but I accept that. I didn't realize it was that long
Yes,
ago.
I have been there 40 years and president 22 years. So 40 years ago, do I envision a waiting list? Not at all.
Sure.
Absolutely not at all.
And you started as an instructor.
I started as a part-time instructor, yes, at downtown campus, which was on Bull Street, and now the Avery Institute. So yes, I've been around a long time, Carolyn, a very long time, and I've seen changes over those years, and thankfully been in a position to be a catalyst for many of those changes.
You most certainly have been. And through your 22 years, even at that time, though, when you started as president of Trident Tech, did you imagine there would be the focus on technical college education, or did it always seem as though students would be going to four-year colleges and institution as a way to empower their lives, change their lives, improve their well-being?
Carolyn, over the 40 years, I have been a real student of economic development and a real student of higher education. We have more than 17,000 students right now. Probably the breakdown will be, when we get through looking at the numbers, over 6,000 walk in the door and say, I want to spend 2 years with you and then I want to transfer. And we will advise that student so they don't have to skip a beat. They can go in as a junior. The other 11,000, they want to go directly into work. That is no surprise to me because there are so many opportunities. In fact, I don't care what data you look at, what workforce study it is, it's going to tell you, all of them, at least 85% of the jobs created will require 2 years of post-secondary education. That's Trident Technical College. What we have become is a monolithic community college striving to meet community needs.
That's right. And the demands of the community, we see it everywhere. We see it in Boeing. We see it at the local hospitals. We see it in all areas of healthcare. And you've done a great job, Dr. Thornley, of really fostering some of the relationships with these industries in our community. Let's talk about the Boeing relationship first, because that's a big one.
I'm happy to talk about that. We work with Ready SC and Boeing to work on their training needs, and if you actually observed training taking place, you would have a hard time discerning who's a Trident Tech employee, who's a Ready SC employee, and who's a Boeing employee, unless you look at the name tag. But Carolyn, some people say the only reason you're growing is because Boeing is there. In our credit programs, we have fewer than 400 students in either aircraft maintenance, aircraft avionics, or aircraft assembly. Those are direct routes that a student could take to apply to Boeing. Less than 400. You do the math. That is not why we are growing. Our region is growing. Our region has a diversified economy, particularly since the Navy base left. We've got an exciting resurgence of manufacturing, and manufacturing jobs pay very well.
one number indicates that since 1991 there were a little less than 8,000 students, and now you look at 2012, you're pushing 20,000, more than 17,000 already.
We have grown for 18 consecutive terms, and that's the right thing. Shall I talk to you now about our business model at the college?
Sure.
Okay. Our business model, and we have 717 full-time employees. I'll bet you the overwhelming majority can tell you our business plan is growth, and they can give you the reasons for that. Look at our mission. Our mission is to be a catalyst for the personal, community, and economic development. But the vision is even more telling. We are to be the leading force for educational opportunity and competitiveness in the counties we serve. Notice, I didn't say we are to be a leading force. I said the leading force. So why would we be so egotistical and say that? It's not egotistical. It is an observing vision statement. Here's why. The majority of jobs, over 85%, require some post-secondary training. Look at what's available locally. The medical university is absolutely wonderful. The Citadel is absolutely wonderful. The College of Charleston, absolutely wonderful. And Charleston Southern University, absolutely wonderful. I have named 4 institutions that do not together get a majority of high school graduates in Charleston, Berkeley, and Dorchester counties. Trident Tech gets the majority. The 4 institutions I named, they have niche markets. Trident Tech, we are getting over 50% of the graduates in a majority of local high schools.
Wow, the majority?
The majority. And that is a good thing, because a good job is going to require it. And again, for those who don't want to go directly to the job market.
And can't afford it.
They can't afford it. Do you know what we cost this fall? If you're a full-time student and you live in Berkeley, Charleston, or Dorchester counties, do you know what we charge? $715. $715.
For the semester?
For the semester. For the semester.
Compared to possibly 10, 12, 15, 20,000 for some 4-year institutions.
Well, there are colleges that would charge $715 for either a course or a single hour. We are a bargain. We're $1,800 and change minus lottery tuition of $1,140 some. You subtract that, you come up with $715. We are a bargain. You're not going to go to the poorhouse if you come to Trident Tech. Now, I mentioned the 4 higher ed institutions that are all wonderful institutions, but they do not attract the majority of students graduating from our 3 counties. If they don't come to Trident Tech, the other option is one of the 15 or 16 or 17 for-profits. That's generally not a very good choice for any student. The reasons for that is they are expensive for a product whose quality is not as, I would say, not as good as a public option. And there are 3 questions that every person entertaining the thought of going to a for-profit ought to ask that college. What is your job placement rate? What is your average student debt? And what is your default rate? Meaning, how many of your students take out loans from the federal government and never pay them back?
Dr. Thornley, those are probably questions that people need to ask even if they went to one of the schools of higher education as well. And I think it's one that probably is not a part of the conversation very often when people are considering what they will do after high school or entering the job market, that you don't want to be saddled with debt and you want to be able to get a job. And you certainly want to be able to work in a place where you are still continuing to grow and enjoying your education. And also doing something that's, you know, using your job skill.
There are so many students. In fact, we've had the housing mortgage crisis. The new crisis facing this country is student debt, loans that students have taken out. And in some cases, Carolyn, these are first-generation college students that don't understand the difference between a loan and a grant. They did not understand that they were incurring a loan. There are so many people right now who are in trouble with those loans, and even if somebody declares bankruptcy, you can't declare bankruptcy and erase a federal student loan. It lingers with you. Do you know there are people drawing Social Security who are having student debt loans taken out of the Social Security check?
Wow. I've never heard that before.
That's a new thing. That's the crisis we're in. So students need to really ask hard questions. You can't go on a website and get those answers. But you know what? Think about it. A for-profit, their credits don't transfer. So they exist exclusively to prepare you for a job. If you exist exclusively to prepare somebody for a job, why would you not show your job placement statistics? Why would you not be proud of that? I think it's very telling when the very core reason an institution exists is a reason that they will not provide you the data.
Having the data is very important. That's something that
certainly
Trident Tech can do. We're going to talk about the physical growth of Trident Technical College, from being down on Bull Street to now in every community in the Tri-County area. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. Stay with us. We're coming right back as we continue our conversation with Dr. Mary Thornley right after this break. Building education and building people, that's what's happening at Trident Technical College. And Dr. Mary Thornley, the president of more than 22 years now, is that right? 22?
Yes.
22 years, actually been a part of the Trident Tech family for more than 40 years, which I was surprised to realize. But Dr. Thornley, you know, the campus has also grown physically. You started out with some 80 programs, and now that number is nearly double, almost 150 different programs that you offer on so many different communities: Mount Pleasant, Berkeley County, Charleston County, every county.
You've done your homework,
yes.
Haven't you?
You're everywhere, though.
My job is always about success and access. So let me stick with the access piece of that. Access, to my mind, has to do with being affordable, and it has to do with geographically being available. Transportation is an issue for a lot of students. So for the last 5 years, we have opened a new site basically every fall. And our state support has declined dramatically over the same period of time. So your first question is probably, how could you possibly be in expansion growth mode when your state support has gone steadily downhill since, 2005? Well, the reason for that is each of our new openings has a different story. So let me give you, we went to St. Paul's Parish a few years ago in southern Charleston County, the poorest part of Charleston County. We worked with Ready SC, and we worked with the Corbins of Metal Trades. And for $1 a year, we leased a building that Rusty Corbin's family owned. We upfitted it, and Ready SC helped us, and we do all kinds of training there, a lot of facilities, maintenance, technician training. That's the poorest part of Charleston County, a godsend. Okay, race up to Dorchester County, to the poorest part of Dorchester County, St. George. We opened a quick job center there. We applied for a grant, received from the Department of Commerce about $1 million, which was the largest grant they gave out. We partnered with Dorchester County. They put in some money, and we put in a little money, and we have a beautiful facility in the poorest part of Dorchester County. We also opened there, in both of these sites, something called a public computing center. We went for a BTOP grant, and for 3 years had federal funding to offer high-speed internet access to these 2 remote sites. Would you believe in Upper Dorchester County we had 16,000 users during one evaluation period? So the grant went away, but we saw the community need.
Right.
So we fund that ourselves. So those are 2 sites. Also in Dorchester County, we worked with the Dorchester Career School. They have a site on Trolley Road. They were consolidating going to Dorchester, their main site. We leased from them that entire 20,000-foot facility, and it is very cost effective, and that is a second way we can be in Dorchester County. Berkeley campus, we struggled for years with that rural campus to figure out what in the world is going to meet the needs there. That campus now has 1,100 students, and we have a middle college there that Berkeley County Schools operates that had a 100% graduation rate.
Congratulations.
Phenomenal. So Berkeley campus is doing well. Mayor Schwells in Mount Pleasant and Thomasina Stokes Marshall, who is Mayor Pro Tem, approached me about, would you be interested in a site in Mount Pleasant? Well, does a horse have a tail?
Right.
Of course we would. So the old Bassett Furniture, not old, it's a beautiful furniture store on Hungry Neck Boulevard. They leased to us for $1 a year. We have upfitted that. We are renovating. We're doing 3 years of renovation, and that is a gorgeous facility. And do you see, everything I have mentioned to you thus far has been something we have received enormous help with, and it wasn't the state. It's not funding rolling in from Columbia. That's not happening. It's locally figuring out how to get various parts of the community to work together to help you grow.
Is the state, are lawmakers aware of this need that I'm sure you are trying to make them aware of, and it seems pretty obvious to a lot of us working folks that the need is there? Are they aware? Are they in touch with the needs of the community?
To various degrees, all of them are, but our state support in terms of a revenue budget, it's now 14%. Over 61% is coming from student tuition and fees. We've got 2 pieces of that pie left. One is the county support. We enjoy the support of Berkeley, Charleston, and Dorchester counties. We're grateful for that. And then another piece of that revenue pie is a category called Other. We do have some rental income. We are entrepreneurial. You know, we operate a conference center both at main campus and at Palmer. We have some academic programs that generate a little revenue. We operate our own college bookstore. We have to behave in an entrepreneurial manner because the state of South Carolina is not providing for us to be a world-class, first-rate, you want to be proud of it, technical college system. That's not happening. We have to look for other sources if we want to be anything other than mediocre. You don't want to be attached to mediocre. I don't want to be attached to mediocre. I don't want Trident Tech to be used in the same sentence with mediocre.
Do you think that there is still, and I should also add that you've managed to keep tuition fees low, and hopefully that trend will continue. Are there any plans to increase tuition rates anytime soon?
We increased tuition rates to match HEPI, the Higher Education Price Index. So those are incremental and modest. Part of our mission, part of the understanding of why we exist is we have to be affordable. We have to be. We can't increase tuition to the point where we're not affordable. Earlier in our conversation, I told you that a full-time student from Berkeley, Charleston, Dorchester counties, go to 10 Trident Tech, full-time with lottery tuition assistance, we thank God for that, for $715. So you could then say, well, why are 70% of your students needing financial aid or needing scholarships? You're so low cost. Here's why. The average age is 26 or 27. It's not 18. Well, think back on your own life when you were 26 or 27. I had a child then. Had I been a student, I had a child. Mom and Dad aren't paying the bills. You probably don't live at home with Mom and Dad. So you got to live somewhere, you got to have transportation, you probably have a child. That's why 75% of our students work, because they have the expenses of living.
Sure.
Not just going to school. So, Carolyn, we're in the middle of a capital campaign. I'm hitting the streets, knocking on doors, because our students need help. And our community needs to provide that help. Our community wants these students to be in school. If you're ever going to retire, then we need for everybody to be productively employed. I think they can be.
All right. We are going to continue our conversation in just one moment. We want you to stay with us. We are speaking with Dr. Mary Thornley right after this break. Always great to see Dr. Mary Thornley, the president of Trident Technical College, and glad that she made time in her schedule to be in our studio today. Dr. Thornley, you know, I've known you for many, many years, for decades, really my entire professional career. I think that it's fair to say that we have been friends. And I'm just curious, you've been an inspiration to me. Who inspires you, or what inspires you? Because I'm sure that a lot of women who are watching you from the classroom and from the community and look at your rise through education wonder, well, who motivated her and how did she come to be a leader and to foster such growth at Trident Tech? I'm
not sure how to answer that, because the answer is so many people, but I can shorten the answer and tell you that I was born on the wrong side of the tracks in a mill village in Concord, North Carolina. Most of my contemporaries graduated and went to work in a cotton mill. I owe my education, my success, if you will, to the teachers I had in that mill village school who ignited the whole learning process for me. Education changed my life. It opened every door for me. So I want to do the same thing. When I graduated from high school, we didn't have a system of two-year colleges. We do now. And I was introduced to that system 4 years ago, and I caught on that two-year system right here in the state of South Carolina, it has a big opportunity written on it. Nobody has an excuse not to go to college, and nobody has an excuse not to get a good job, and nobody has an excuse not to earn the living they aspire to when you have an affordable technical college system. So my inspiration is doing everything I can every day to enable students to have that opportunity that will enrich their lives.
Affordable education, that is the key, that a lot of people have the desire, but they make poor choices without a lot of information, perhaps, that end up costing them in so many ways. It just doesn't make dollars or cents, and they end up further in debt than they would want to be.
Right. Carolyn, if you're going to law school at Harvard University, they will tell you, borrow money so that you don't have to worry about it. Because their average graduate is going to start over $100,000. Their average debt is $130,000. Nobody loses any sleep over that. If you're going to graduate with a diploma in cosmetology and you owe $20,000, you've made a mistake. How long is it going to take you to be entry-level cosmetologist and pay back $20,000? There are other options so that you can get your degree. you can do what you want to do in life, and you don't go to the poorhouse. Let me give you some examples, because during the break we were talking, you said, is there not some stigma attached to going to Trident Tech or any two-year college and then going on? I'm sure that lingers for some people, but you and I both know, in my case, I went to Mars Hill and got a 2-year degree. But what am I a graduate of? Chapel Hill and USC. It isn't where you start, it is where you sort of stop. We have had students, I'll give you an example. We have a lot of homeschool students who come to us. We had a young man come to us. He finished his first 2 years. He went to the Citadel. He was an outstanding graduate in engineering. He is now working on his master's degree at MIT.
Wow, what a great story.
Now, he will be loyal and faithful to Trident Tech, but he's going to be an MIT graduate.
Sure.
We are solid. We can prepare you for transfer or for that job. So, how many ways can I say that, all right?
It just makes dollars and cents.
Yes,
it makes
ma'am.
good sense for a lot of people
Yes,
who
ma'am.
are starting out. This is a place where you can create a foundation and move up and on from there.
You know, the other stat we know is true. The further you go from home to go to college, the more likely you're going to drop out. Because so many of them are not ready and they get caught up in that freshman life. So when you think about it, what you really want for your son or daughter or for any student is to finish what they start. So starting at Trident Tech can be more cost effective and might be an insurance policy to making sure that that young person is ready to go 2 years to their dream institution, if you will. Similarly, my own son, he graduated from Duke University on full scholarship, but in the summer, he took courses at Trident Tech. So we know our courses transfer in-state, but we have so much military, we have so many people in transition that we follow our coursework, and it's literally transferred all over the United States.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Thornley. You continue to teach us even from here. We appreciate your time, and well done at Trident Tech.
Thank you. You are so kind, Carolyn.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate your attention. If you have an idea of a segment, let us know about it. You can contact us at newsmakers@comcastc2.com. Enjoy your day.